Hi guys, welcome to part 11 of my tutorial. Today we're gonna finish our bat AI and we're gonna cause him to begin flying when you are close to him and stop flying when the distance between the bat and the player gets too big. And we're gonna make a short stun system so that after the bat has hit you, the bat stops walking. So let's first make a new variable and let's call it float distance, and when our update functions get called, we'll make distance the vector2 dot distance between the player, and we already got the transform.position of the player stored in the variable called player, and the transform.position. So distance will be the distance between the player and the bat. And then we're gonna make a condition here, and we're gonna make it so that if the distance is smaller than 10, the bat will do the rigid body to the add force thing with the raycast. So actually, if the distance gets less than 10, the bat will move, of course, if the raycast condition allows it. So yeah, I think this should work. So let's save, try it out. And when we're close to the bat, he's flying towards us, but when we get further away, further than 10, he stops flying. And when we move in, you'll start flying again. So this is working. Let's now make the stun system. We're gonna add a void. This one is gonna be, gotta get this right, on collision enter 2D. And monodevelop isn't helping me anymore, it seems. Oh, it's working. And it's gonna be a collision 2D parameter, and we'll call it player hit. And here we're gonna make a condition. If player hit dot game object dot tag is equal to, it's a string, so you should do 2 equal signs. And what's the tag of our player? It's just player. So if the tag is equal to player, he'll do some other things. We forgot the opening. So yeah. So why is this wrong? It does not contain because this should be a small game object. Yeah, now it doesn't give any errors. So basically, when the player and the bat hits, we're gonna call the collider of the player, we're gonna call that player hit. And if the player hit is on a game object whose tag is player, we can do some other things. So you can also see this as, if there is a collision with the player. So if there is a collision with the player, we're gonna change some variables that we still have to make. So let's make a private bool, and let's call this one stun, and we're gonna make another private, and this one is gonna be a float, and we'll call it stun time. And the stun time is gonna be 0 at the start, and stun is gonna be false. In our if condition, we're gonna add another condition. If the stun is false. So now we will only move if the distance between the player and the bat is smaller than 10, and if the stun is false. So at the beginning the stun is false, so we will move. But in our hit condition, in our collider condition, collider function, we're gonna make stun true. Stun is true, and we're gonna make stun time equal to 1. So once the player and the enemy hit, our stun is true and our stun time is 1, and the stun time does not have an effect on the movement of the bat, but the stun does, because when the stun is true, he won't move anymore, because stun should be false. We're gonna make one other condition in the update, and we're gonna do if the stun time is bigger than 0, we gonna we're gonna lower the stun time with time dot delta time. So now it'll take exactly 1 second for our stun time to reach 0. And if the stun time is bigger than 0, but once it is 0, so we can use the else function. Once it is 0, why is this so? No, we want it here. Yeah. So if the stun time is 0 or lower than 0, we'll make stun false again. So when we're starting our game, stun time is 0 and stun is false, so we will fly. The bat will fly. Once we hit with the player, stun will turn true and stun time will turn into 1. Because stun time is turned to true, or because stun is turned to true, we won't fly anymore. The bat will stop flying, and we get a 1 second timer here. And exactly after 1 second, stun time is equal to 0, or maybe a bit smaller than 0, and that will cause our stun to turn to false, and we'll start flying again. So it's a stun of 1 second. Let's start the game and see if it works. So right now he's flying towards me, he hits me, he stops, and he starts flying again. And let's move away from the bat, and he still stops flying when the distance between us is more than 10. So yeah, it's working perfectly as it should. And that's it for today. So I hope you enjoyed it, and as always, have a nice day, guys.